I call this almost a hybrid. It's hazy like a New England style, but it's citrus forward and slightly bitter, like it kind of just burped up like grapefruit.
Oh man,
I'm still burping up grapefruit. It's citrus forward and bitter like a traditional style, but it's got that malt backbone and sweetness.
Yeah.
So you have a pretty active hop schedule during the boil then?
This is actually, believe it or not, this is straight Whirlpool hops.
Really, no bittering?
No bittering hops.
Really, now I'm excited.
But you get bittering notes in it. Because I drop all those Whirlpool hops in at about 210 degrees.
Heavy dry hop?
Yes. Yeah, heavy dry hop about. He's looking at us like, what the fuck?
It's another language over here in brewing.
So you'll get that citrus up front, grassy almost. Or,
Cool.
But that's interesting. No bittering hops, just Whirlpool, which
It's really soft. I like
blows
that.
the mind out of many. That you're talking about brewing.
this is strictly Whirlpool hop. So when
It's
the boil's
revolutionary.
Done, oil's done, and I put it into the Whirlpool stage of the process, where you're just getting all those solids and proteins down into the bottom of the kettle. Then I drop all my hops in.
Yeah.
I hope I don't offend you by saying this, but this is dank. I like this.
Oh yeah.
Now, dank.
it
Here we
is.
go.
I
Dank.
didn't want to propose a word.
So no, we not.
No,
believe
dank
me,
is a
dank.
good.
I hear this all the time, and people like, what are we talking about? Dank. So this is a representation of dank. I don't know. It's another language. It's Urban Dictionary.
I've
going
had
on
people
here.
explain IPAs
I need
to
a
me.
pause for that one.
Not necessarily my IPA, but I've had people like, oh, I love IPAs that smell like wet gym socks.
Why would you want that?
But-
I mean, really?
But that's what that
Take my
dankness
gym
is.
bag and let me drink my Kolsch.
been to the gym.
And you
You've
take
been
my
making
gym bag.
IPAs for 20 years and you didn't even know. I mean,
I haven't been to the gym in years, so my gym bag probably stinks.
Wow. Here.
But that's what.
I don't know if
Would
I
you like
want
some
like
of my
smelly
socks?
gym socks in
No,
my,
but that's
my
right.
No,
IPA.
but you're right, yeah.
But
that's the taste. I know what you're talking about
This
because
has
you can
that
get
dankness.
that taste out of it. So you're talking about like a basement type taste. Why would you want that in a beer? I'm sorry. Why would you seek
some
that?
people like this. I go through so much of this beer. Like I just brewed it. You got a keg of it. I brewed 150 gallons of it. I'm down to 30 gallons right now, and I just brewed it 4 weeks ago.
I mean, I say dank, but like I get like resiny, piney, and like, you know, when I say dank, it's because these are very powerful, strong character flavors in this beer. You know, like they're not subtle. They're in your face, and they're like,
Here I
this
am.
is what we want you to try.
Yeah.
That's why I call it the zombie punch, because it's a punch of flavors. It's not just like a nice, soft, subtle beer. You're getting an overload of flavors in your face.
Yeah, and what you're talking about, that whole thing about making beer and using hops in the Whirlpool, and you're talking about beer making that has been around for so long, the 1200s, and they used hops for bittering, and here you are doing it just in the Whirlpool. I mean, that alone says the revolution of beer making, and you know, and stuff. Obviously, I don't know whether this is the first that I hear, you know, of doing that just in a Whirlpool. So maybe I'm not attuned to doing so much hoppy beers as the rest. But I think that's phenomenal, and it just takes it to another level of what hops are. And I'm sure other brewers can laugh at me, but it is the creativity that's going on, which is what's making beer out there outstanding, and getting a flavor of just, okay, this was done in a Whirlpool. Who would ever think to just do that, making a Kolsch with a Whirlpool beer?
Well, you know, I mean, the brewing world is so wide open. Like there's a lot of guidelines when you go into German brewing. There's guidelines you have to stick to this path. My way of, I like to do it like an old school traditional style beer, but I like to veer from that and do different things where I'm doing what people are like, oh, you can't use a Belgian yeast for a stout. Well, why not? Boom, put a Belgian yeast in a stout. Why can't you do it? I do it. This, people, oh, you shouldn't do Michigan copper hops blended with Cascade and Columbus. Well, why not? Well, you'll get all flavors. Well, let's try it and see what happens. And you get this
You put
huge.
Columbus in this?
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
So you get a lot of like pungenty, resiny, piney flavors in there. Why not do it? And my thing is there's so many breweries right now that are just, and I've said it earlier in the video, absolutely killing the IPA world, where they're just doing these crazy, over the top, excellent IPAs. That you got to come in with something different. I can't just come out and be like, oh, this is a citra hopped IPA, because it's going to taste like everybody else's.
Yeah.
This is completely different. It's not going to taste like everybody else's.
Now, a book theory that we do study in beer making, you throw in the hops early, you're getting the oils, and that adds to the shelf life of your beer. You actually took a risk and didn't incorporate that in the early stages as typically.
This needs to be drank fresh.
But technically, if you actually look at the science, by adding the hops in the whirlpool, it actually adds enough to keep the shelf life that you're looking for.
Very awesome. That's awesome.
There is actual science that does show that it is impacting the beer shelf life in the same exact way as if you were throwing the hop in for 90 minutes.
Awesome. Yep, that's good commentary right there. So that's
when you go from this to this, it's gonna be a world of difference.
Right.
This is pungent in your face. If you're not ready for it, you're gonna be like, oh, what the hell is this?
I think if you're really gonna like the new IPA that I just made at work. I made it with it used to be an experimental hop, but now it's called Strata hop. Yeah. And it has a lot of these flavors just in that one
pungent, resiny.
Yeah.
So in your personal opinion between influential taste in an IPA versus a stout. In my personal opinion, I think stout is more influential in its multifaceted taste than an IPA. IPA is, all you get is like citrus and piney notes, whereas stouts, you can get chocolate notes, fruity notes, coffee notes.
You get, I mean, they both play their part. I prefer the stout side of it because you get a lot of, I love the malt in the beer. In stouts, like you said, you can get chocolate, you can get roasted barley, which gives you that coffee flavor. You can get, you can actually use coffee malts to bring out a little bit of that in there. You can get raisin, you can get fig, you can
like coffee in general, not malt.
Yeah.
Coffee.
Yeah.
I like coffee.
No, there is a coffee malt.
Coffee
Oh no, there is actual.
I didn't even know that.
There's an actual
another
coffee
spectrum.
malt. There's brown malts. There's the stout world is so vast.
Is it Breeze?
Like what you can do is, whereas IPAs are vast as well, but they're vast in the hop side of it. The malt, what you use in a malt for an IPA is very low compared to what you use in a stout. You can have anywhere from 5 ingredients or 5 malts in a stout to 10, 11, 12 different malts.
Is it Patagonia? Is it imported?
So from a proprietary standpoint, I can't understand what the attraction is to the IPAs, the hops, that many people will come, they'll suck down your zombie punch to where you're down to 30 gallons of it. Like, I just don't get it. Like, I'm a lager man. And I understand the flavor profile.
I personally think that, like in the same thing with a stout is there's a wide spectrum for IPAs and stouts. If you have a Irish stout versus an English stout's going to be a lot more bready or biscuity, where an Irish stout will just sort of be dry and sweet. When you have a West Coast IPA, it should be really malty and piney. If you have a New England IPA, I want it to have that slight residual sweetness with like strong peach, mango, apricot flavors. you know, I'm more in that spectrum where, you know, for me, the thing that I love about beer is just the fact that, like, there's a different beer for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you don't have to necessarily just be like, man, I only drink brown ales.
I only drink German.
Right, you know.
We only drink German now. Just saying.
So Alai Cigar City Brewing, where are they out of?
So they're right in Florida.
Florida, Tampa, yeah.
This used to be probably
I read
one of
about
the harder, rarer IPAs to get in the U.S.
Yes.
At
Wow.
one point, it was listed in the top 10 IPAs in the country. They've really blown up since, so it's a lot more mass produced. You can find it a lot more easily in New York, but
Yeah.
for a long time, that was one of those seasonal releases that when
Yeah.
it was out, if you were lucky enough to grab it,
If you were,
Yeah.
You-
if
you were a
could even
pretty
grab a
lucky
six-pack,
person.
you
And,
were like-
and I see on the can it says, do not age.
no, no.
Yeah.
They're even warning people, do not age it.
Well, certain IPAs, after even a month in the can, you lose that
Yeah.
hoppy.
yeah.